Many people in today's society have come to rely on the federal government for basic everyday needs such as public transportation, help with food like food stamps and summer programs for food. Also, health care has now become a big issue. But in my opinion, the food inspection process should not be one thing that they are absolutely relying on. They should be more reliable. However, they're not. They're failing in one aspect that I can see for sure. And to help my speech today, I use the following sources: USDA.gov, Reuters. I use the article from Reuters. USA Today, a review of history and results of downsizing. That was a study done at the University of Florida, and then an article from the Office of Personnel Management, downsizing in the federal government. The food inspection process in the USDA needs to be overhauled to become more effective, because right now it's both inefficient and ineffective. The solution to the problem would have to be to shrink the number of agencies used in the inspection process right now and become more efficient and utilize your resources. To many people, taking resources away would be detrimental to any operation. However, to protect our citizens, we really need to consider something else than what we're doing right now. The problem that I want to address is the food inspection process. It's effective, it's inefficient, it's costing the government unnecessary money that we don't need to spend right now, and it's in need of overhauling. There's too many situations and too many things that are gray areas for certain agencies for this process to be effective. And I propose that we shrink it. We use just maybe one agency, maybe, if not, maybe a couple more. The government uses about 15 different agencies right now, one of which is the Food and Drug Administration. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, unsafe food causes about 76 million illnesses every year and around 5,000 deaths as well. And that was from USA Today. There have been numerous recalls on food products in the last few years, such as the salmonella outbreak from either last year or the year before. And also the fear of mad cow disease in beef products, because I know of one major case where they didn't inspect like 500 cows or something like that for this disease. The problem is so obvious and such a big deal that even the Secretary of Agriculture is proposing a change to the system. His name is Tom Vilsack, and he's not a fan of the system. He pushes for the restructuring of the system to lower the amount of agencies involved in the process. He himself favors just one agency. Let them be wide-ranging and just have one agency and hire more people if you need it. The efficiency in this process should be a serious concern to every American, because this process is responsible for the safety of the consumers who consume your food or consume our food, and that has been inspected by these agencies. There have been, like I said earlier, there's high-profile recalls all the time, and also you hear about a lot of deaths and stuff and illnesses in general. I think last year they said, not last year, but a few years ago they used $100 million to combat these illnesses. If the problem is not corrected, the government can expect to see more recalls in the food industry, but they can also expect to see lower levels of trust, which I think is necessary in every government. You need to have the trust of your citizens, and right now they're working on losing our trust. Also, Representative Laura DeLauro, she has said that we're in an emergency situation today, and that she was talking about the problems we have going on right now. Despite the fact that this problem is looming quite large before the government and the agencies who help run it, the problem can be fixed by downsizing the process and the number of agencies involved in it. I suppose that in order to combat the number of illnesses and deaths every year, the government needs to eliminate some of these agencies from the food inspection process. I feel like there's just way too many gray areas, like I said earlier, that one agency might say, oh, well, I think that agency's going to get it, and the other one's like, well, we thought they were going to get it. So there's no accountability. Lowering your number of agencies is going to obviously account for higher level capabilities. There's less people to run to whenever there's a problem. You know exactly who to go to. They can, we can probably expect to see a small increase if we went to the system where we shrunk our departments who are responsible. According to the United States Office of Personnel Management, by downsizing an organization, or in this case a process, it causes the organization to reorganize and to reinvent themselves. I know in everyday life, when we have resources available to us, we're going to lean on them too heavily. We're not going to rely on our own intuition and our own ability to solve the problem ourselves. The government could set up regional offices around major import sites, and they could hire more people to run these. A good example of this is Ford Motor Company. I know they didn't, set up import sites, but they shrunk their levels of operation, and it helped them save money, cut costs, become more efficient in making cars. I feel like if this policy is implemented, we can expect to see results probably in the next 5 years. I know it's not going to be immediate because it's going to be new to everybody. It's going to take a lot of training in order to really get this program off the ground. Now the solution seems pretty hard, and it seems time consuming, it seems unnecessary, but I feel that it's in the best interest for everybody who consumes food products in the United States, which is everybody here. We need to have top of the line inspection because we can't always worry about if our food's going to be the thing that's going to get us sick and ultimately to our death. Just because the service is provided to you, by the federal government, it doesn't mean that you should take it for granted and assume that everything's perfect. You always have to, use your own brain and think about things like this, because when we become complacent in our life, it's whenever mistakes are made. Thank you.